This is the plaintiff, Gordon Renault. He says he rented an apartment from the defendant and was quite literally electrocuted. The place had faulty wiring. He got the shock of his life when he touched one of the appliances. The paramedic told him his heart rate shot up to 200 beats a minute, and he moved the heck out. Now, the shady defendant won't return his money, and he's suing for $5,000 today. This is the defendant, Rebecca Thayer. She says the plaintiff had like 15 people living in the apartment and the power went out. She got someone there to fix it immediately. When she told the plaintiff she wouldn't be renewing his lease, the problem started. Bottom line, he's making this all up in retaliation for kicking him out, and she owes nothing. She's accused of shocking a tenant. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1,590 for rent and eviction costs.
All parties, please get your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff got electrocuted at the apartment he rented from the defendant. So bad he almost died, but the defendant won't return his security. The defendant says there were 15 people living there, so what does he expect? It's the case of I'm so shocked.
Thank you, Douglas. Rudy Renault and Gordon Renault, represented here by Gordon.
Yes, ma'am.
You are suing Luther, who doesn't want his last name mentioned, and Rebecca Thayer, represented here by Rebecca Thayer, for $5,000 in rent that you want returned to you, punitive damages, and a security deposit. You have a counterclaim against them for $1,590 in rent, cleaning, and eviction costs.
Yes,
wow, this didn't go very well. Tell me what happened.
We moved in on February the 8th. May the 16th, I was cleaning the kitchen stove. I noticed that the boards were burnt.
What exactly are you talking about?
The stove was actually inserted into the counter. There's a hole
Oh, okay.
cut out.
And so
Basically
you were
like a
cleaning the
sink.
stove, and what did you notice?
Boards were burnt. Exposed wiring.
Okay. And so what did you do?
At that time, I confronted her about it and asked her about a prior fire, and she denied the fact that there had been a fire.
What made you think there had been a fire?
Boards were burnt that were under the stove.
Okay, you saw evidence of a fire.
Yes, ma'am.
And she said there has not been a fire that I know of, and then what?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And then what? Were you able to use the stove in the oven?
Yeah, the stove was new. It had been replaced. The boards just hadn't been replaced.
Okay, so what'd you do?
There was no more issues at that time because everything was fine.
Okay, is this a picture of what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Everything's fine after that until it's not. When's your next problem?
Thanksgiving Day, our oven quit working.
Your oven quit working on Thanksgiving. That's a bad day for the oven to stop working. Were you done cooking or not?
No, ma'am, we were right in the middle of dinner.
Oh, that's awful. So what happened to your turkey?
It didn't get done.
There's no neighbors you could have, I guess their
we
ovens
actually
are
had our daughter to finish cooking it.
Okay, good, right. So, okay, so that happens, and then you call her when the next day and tell her, listen,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
oven, okay. What does she say?
She had a maintenance man at this time that supposedly would start taking care of issues. He never showed up.
Okay, so then what happens?
December 13th, our refrigerator went out.
Okay, but why did you wait until, I mean, I need an oven. You don't need an oven sooner than December 13th?
We kept going to our daughter and using our daughters because it was convenient.
Well, did you have any communication with her and tell her the guy you hired
My
didn't
wife
come?
confronted her several times, asking her when the oven was going to be replaced.
And what would she say?
Maintenance man's supposed to be taking care of it.
Okay, what was happening? The maintenance man didn't take care of it. Weeks passed.
We had decided not to put a new oven in, and we gave them a toaster oven.
Who's we?
Oh, that's just my father.
You
and I.
decided that people who rented a place with an oven could just do without one. That's not really up to you, right?
No, ma'am, but...
So why would you decide that? Would you like me to decide that for you? You're going to live without an oven? No, right? That sounds like, who do I think I am, right? Well, that's exactly what I'm asking you. Why would you be in a position to decide that they're going to live there without an oven?
Well, we knew that they were going to be evicted the next month, so we didn't...
What do you mean by evicted?
We were just going to evict them when the contract ended.
So meaning you weren't going to renew it?
No.
But the contract went to February 8th, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So there were 2 more months of them living there, more than 2 months. And you decided that you'd give them a toaster oven and they would make do.
Well, that was my sister's, what she decided, and they accepted...
Yeah, your sister's a jerk, kind of, because you can't really do that, okay? So now go on. What else?
December 13th, when the refrigerator went out, once again, the maintenance man was supposed to come take a look at it.
Right.
He did, and I wound up seeing him out in the yard next door, which is a vacant lot, and he had a camper parked out there, and he was out there tinkering with this, so I went and confronted him. And he hadn't even been told about the stove.
So did you tell him about the stove and the refrigerator?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he do?
He had to pull the refrigerator out and replace an outlet behind it
Okay.
that actually had melted.
Melted, okay.
Because of faulty wiring.
Okay, so he rewired that and then the refrigerator worked?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right, so then when do you move out?
We moved out February the 8th.
Right,
rent
the day you're supposed to. So why are you here? You're here suing for the following. You want half of rent from the prior February until December.
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
until this February, but until December.
No, ma'am.
Is that because you have filed the case in December?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I got it. So you want half the rent. Why? Why should you get?
Well,
why should I go back
trying
a
to be a
year
decent Christian
and order
and,
her to refund you half of your rent?
Trying to be a decent Christian and not sue for all of it.
But why would I ever? Why on earth? Really? That's what your answer is? Why on earth would any judge ever look back and say, "Hey, I know you agreed to pay that, and you lived there saying you would pay that, and you continued to rent it to them saying they would pay that, but now we're just going to rip up your contract and rebate half of your rent for an entire year to the tune of $3,200. Why? On what legal
We feel
basis?
that she knowingly rented us a faulty apartment because of the wiring.
But truly,
because-
the first real fault happened on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, ma'am.
So why would I go back to February of 2018?
So if you live in a really crappy place, can you, after you move out, sue for the rent you paid a year?
Okay, so I feel like you can't sue them because you stayed there for a year already. So there's no reason, like, why didn't you move out earlier? So, like, you already stayed there for a year, so I don't think you could sue them from that.
Okay, that's actually kind of interesting. Going inside the courtroom.
So then, before you leave, something happens that causes you to call the paramedics, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I got
Tell
shocked.
me about that.
Thanksgiving Day, I was washing dishes, and something between a combination of touching the refrigerator and the sink or the sink in the stove, I was shocked. It knocked
On
me down.
Thanksgiving Day?
New Year's Day.
Oh, you said Thanksgiving Day. On New Year's Day,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
were shocked. All right, and what happened?
It knocked me off my feet. My wife had to call paramedics. They came out and checked my heart rate, and I was ecstatic, shaking.
So did they take you into the hospital?
No, ma'am, he just checked my heart rate and everything, and I really didn't want to go to the hospital.
Apparently wasn't very alarmed if he didn't do anything as a result of your heart rate. What, do you have
didn't
the
wanna go to the hospital.
paramedic report?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see it. Are you there? Did you live there at the time, like on the bottom floor?
Yes, I lived below.
In a separate unit?
Yes.
And were you there the day the paramedics went?
I was outside when I saw
Thank you.
a fire truck and ambulance pull up, and his wife was saying, well, my husband just was shocked. He was shocked, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I went up to see if he was okay. And the paramedics were just checking him out. And
Where was he when they were checking him out?
he was in the kitchen.
Sitting in
and-
a chair?
Sitting in a chair, and he was holding his heart and, taking deep breaths. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And so I noticed that there was an electrical outlet that didn't have a plate on it. And that's right in the kitchen wall. There's an electrical outlet without a plate. But we had it inspected, all the plates were on.
Did you ask him why is there no plate there?
He said, yes, I did. He said, we never had one.
But that's not true, you say.
No, it is not true.
Because you say it was all inspected. By whom?
I have an inspection report here. It was inspected by Incorporated.
And why was it inspected and when?
Because we were going to change to a different insurance company for the unit. And so we called them to have an inspection.
Okay, so let me see that. And how was the plate missing?
The plate wasn't there.
Ever? Why would you rent the place without a plate there? And why wouldn't you put a plate there?
There wasn't one in the bathroom either.
I know, but why wouldn't you put one? Like, that costs, 8 cents. Like, why wouldn't you put one or demand that one get put? Like, what's that about?
Can't explain it.
According to this inspection, all of the plates are there. How do I know this isn't just for, no, it's for both. You live in 537 or 539?
535.
535? This isn't an inspection of 535. Why are you giving me this? This is an inspection of 537 and 539.
I'm not sure. This is what.
Why is everyone not sure but me?
Well, because
All right, give her that. Give me one for 535, which is where he lives. Why'd they leave you holding the bag, honey?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, when you go back, you find out. All right, so do you have another inspection report of his actual place? Because they've given you an inspection report to hand to me that is of 2 other places, not his place.
No, I don't. and
Okay,
I
so
don't
let's
know
keep
why.
going. All right, so now you end up moving out when you're supposed to move out. You want half your rent back for your whole time there just because. $1,100 for punitive damages. Who are you punishing and why?
I feel because of the fact we had to check into a homeless shelter. We were scared that there was going to be an electrical fire.
Okay, but you didn't. When did you leave?
January the 8th.
I thought you said you left February the 8th.
No, we left January the 8th.
Is that accurate that they left in January?
I have paperwork here from when we checked into
They
the
left a
shelter.
month earlier. Okay. You didn't pay January rent, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you didn't pay February rent.
No, ma'am. Wasn't there.
Well, that's fine. But I'm saying you also want your security deposit back of $650.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because and you have kept the security deposit. Why?
Well, because when they abandoned the property, they left everything, and we're in the middle of eviction. We can't go in, and the court date is set for this month, so we haven't gone yet. And
Okay, so
No one's allowed to
As
enter
far as the cost for eviction, you need to bring that up in eviction court. Okay, and as far as the amount owed for January rent, you have the security deposit that covers January rent. So we have covered in this courtroom, so it will not be covered at an eviction hearing, the issue of January rent. It has been resolved. The security deposit is going to pay January rent. As far as handing someone a toaster oven and saying this is good enough for the likes of you, I am ordering the defendants to pay the plaintiffs the sum of, that happened Thanksgiving, so it's about a month and a half that you were without an oven. What's that worth? Kind of depends if you cook or not. I'm gonna order the defendants to rebate rent on that to the tune of $200. So there's a net judgment in favor of the plaintiff in this case, not of $5,000, but of $200. And on your counterclaim for the reasons I've explained, 0.
So the plaintiff is going to get a rent rebate of $200 for having a toaster oven instead of an oven. That's kind of a cheap shot, don't you think?
yes, sir. We didn't mean to make it sound like that.
Certainly did.
Well, we pulled them out of the homeless shelter to rent to them,
All right,
and
well,
we
obviously-
just tried to help them.
Yeah, but didn't
Yeah.
work. Didn't
Well, the tenant next to me, she was homeless, and I gave her a home 8 years ago, and she's paid rent every single month. There's never been a day of trouble.
All right.
So I thought, help someone else, but
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
sorry about that. That's the way it goes. All right, Mr. Renault, you didn't luck out too well either, did you?
Lord willing, it happened like it happened.
Sounds like this is a whole mess. Are you okay now? Where are you living
Hey,
now?
I'm blessed. I'm in the homeless shelter.
Well, good luck to you. All right, thank you very much. Okay, Harvey, kind of a sad case. What do you think?
Just so you know, if you don't have a usable oven, that's a breach of a warranty that applies to all leases, and you can deduct rent for not having an oven, but what you have to do is give the landlord an opportunity to fix it first. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.